preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
is going on, everybody? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I'm doing the Renegade intro even though I'm starting because what the hell, it's Monday. It's the day before opening day of the NHL season, and the Meech is in a good mood, gosh dang it. I am the West Coast Professor Jeff Meacham. He is the Renegade. This week on Wrestling, JJ Williams, and we are the dads, not always, but even this week on Wrestling. Thank you all for tuning in on this Monday afternoon, evening, depending on where you're watching us here in the crazy world that is the planet Earth. Been a couple weeks, took a couple weeks off, just trying to get acclimated to the Disney cast life on my end. So I've been a little shell shocked, shall we say, a little ingratiated into the Masca Mafia for real this time. So I appreciate the leniency on letting me have a break, Jay, because these next two shows, today's show and then the one in 2 weeks, and then November, you saw the trailers. You've got 2 jam-packed months coming up between this month that's already started and November. We're busy at the mouse. I'm busy doing just dad stuff and just crazy, so it's going to be a fun show today. We mentioned on social media it's going to be a collaboration show because, and I did want to provide this little caveat, if you will. The original plan was to have this setup, which was the top 10 females to never hold a singles world championship. And as I talked to you earlier in the week, it was like, okay, a lot of these women are really talented, and they've won the championship in Impact or the NWA or whatever. So rather than exclude them from a list that I still feel they should be mentioned on, we narrowed it down to just WWE. That way these 10 ladies definitely get their moment in our particular Casa Sun, if you will.
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, the WWE is Disney.
Right.
And everything else is Knott's Berry Farm, Magic Mountain, Universal Studios. No disrespect, because if you're looking for thrills, you're going to go to Magic Mountain. You're going to go to Knott's.
Yes.
But if you're looking for entertainment as a whole, you're going to go to Disney.
Yes.
For years and years, WWE has been thought of as the grand stage. Everybody works their asses off to get to the grand stage, and specifically to get that WrestleMania moment.
Yes. Yes.
You know, to get to the Super Bowl, if you will.
Yes. Yes.
So by narrowing it down to just WWE, I mean, it makes it a lot easier for me. I probably could have done my own list.
Right.
Narrowing it down to WWE.
Right.
But I think we've got a good little rhythm here,
yes.
You know, much like we did with the X Division champions.
Right, exactly.
Much like we're going to do in a month with the charity singles.
Yes.
You know, I think it's good to every now and again have one of these collaborative.
Right.
Because number one, it makes it easier on the audience. You know you're going to be able to get done in time to watch Raw at 5 o'clock Eastern if you want.
Right. Yes.
And it makes it easier on us as opposed to having 20 of the exact same people.
Yes. And
in different orders.
And since we're pre-recording, post-production is a beautiful thing if we do something like this. So yeah. It's definitely better.
I will say there's only one person I vetoed.
Yes.
Jeff initially proposed the list to me, and granted, I told you it was for personal reasons, and that's part of it.
Right.
But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, she's still under contract with the company.
So it could happen, right?
She can still very easily get a championship. It's not like pretty much everybody else on the list that we're going to cover that no longer works there.
Right. Exactly.
So I pitched 3 different names to take that person's spot.
Yes.
The person was Candice LeRae.
Right.
I know you know. I'm telling the audience.
I'm just.
But so we got rid of her, and I pitched 3 different names. The other 2 will definitely be honorable mentions, at least as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I'll go into who they were once we get to that spot on the list.
Right. and again, Candice, she's garnered success on the championship side in WWE under the umbrella. She's a former NXT Women's Tag Team Champion, so it's not, and she just returned, returned. So
like literally, as we are filming this, her first match back was last night.
Right. So it's not
like,
yeah.
TikTok, give her some time.
Right, yeah. So let it breathe. Like we always say, let it play out, right? So it's not, and again, yes, the reasons were what they were, but as you mentioned, that with time to reflect, it is still very much a possibility that she gets there. So I'm not I have confidence that both of them, her and Mr. Wrestling, if you will, Johnny, will definitely get main roster success. And so we'll see how things play out for both of them. But I'm going to start off with a pair of ladies in the number 10 spot. And I it's a cop out. I'll own that shit, whatever. But
hey, it's all good.
Both of these ladies are so intertwined with one another, and both of them, at least briefly or in dark match situations or whatever, did indeed make appearances for WWE prior to signing with TNA and going off into the stratosphere, if you will, as the beautiful people.
To the moon.
Yes. Well, Lord knows, I don't know about the moon, but they definitely let the pigeons loose on the one side of the moon each and every week, right, Taz? So, I mean, there was, at least for my money, and I'll go ahead and throw in as well, to a certain extent, Madison Rayne, who is now under contract with AEW as a coach and part-time wrestler. Lacey Von Erich, who, yes, was not the most skilled in-ring wrestler, to say the very least, but she still was part of this unit. So I think they at least deserve the quote-unquote honorable mention spot of the group. But at the same time, these two women definitely took the beautiful people brand, if you will, and made it what it ultimately became, which was, at least for my money, Jay, the hottest female act in TNA for a good chunk of their history.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, they got on my nerves very quickly,
yes.
which is what good heels are supposed to do.
That's right.
And without them, there would have been no Lay Cool. There would be no Toxic Attraction.
No. And I'll even say that with their success and the way they were able to influence the presentation of that particular, I guess, gimmick or whatever, the Bella Twins wouldn't have evolved near as far, I don't think, had it not been for having to keep up with Angelina and Velvet.
Agree, but the Bellas, I don't feel were as clear of a knockoff. Where Lay Cool was definitely done
very much so
to capitalize on the success of the beautiful people. And then you look at Toxic Attraction now, and it's like,
yes,
Mandy is very much Angelina. Gigi and JC are very much Madison and Velvet.
Yes. Although, hey, not for nothing, Velvet, it almost seemed like for a little while, Velvet was going to be the Jannetty. Because when they split off, Angelina went with somebody else we're going to talk about later.
Yes.
And Velvet just kind of hovered there for a little while. But when she became Knockouts champion, man, she, again, to the moon, she took off.
It took her a minute to find her footing after the dissolving of the unit there, but yeah.
And I'm just waiting. If you're an NWA fan like I am, Angelina's working for the company now. Velvet's an announcer, but she was a coach during, I forget the name of the series, forgive me, Billy, forgive me, everybody at the NWA, where she earned herself a title shot to bestow upon whoever she wanted. As a retiree, she's not going to do it herself. She gave it to Tim Storm, not her old buddy Angelina. Mm-hmm. So there's something bubbling there. So hard times may indeed be hard times with the beautiful people clashing once again. We shall see how it lays out. But but neither one of these women were able to, and again, they weren't with WWE long enough to actually even have that be a thing, right? But when you think about how successful they ultimately became in TNA Impact Wrestling and how they're both still heavily involved in the workings of the business, you figure Angelina is a former Ring of Honor Women's Champion prior to that championship becoming what it has become toward the end of the original era, and then whatever they're going to do with it in the Tony Khan era, which we still don't know, other than Mercedes every week on Dark. Good for her. It was what it is. And then Velvet, again, she was Knockouts champion. Both of them were Knockouts champions. Both of them have gone on to do different things in wrestling. So I feel like had they been given a WWE contract, even when they were in TNA, they could have potentially been more than they were. Yes. But like you said, the Beautiful People was great because it was in the right place, the right company at the right time. And I don't begrudge either one of them the fact that they weren't WWE champion, but they were still a beautiful presentation for wrestling. So,
pun intended. They were proverbial lightning in a bottle.
Yes. To the point of when they removed Velvet and had Madison and Lacey, it was like, yeah, but they were good, but they weren't as great as this unit was together.
Exactly.
So, the next, again, these are pretty much just whatever order except number one. Jay and I agreed on number one because Lord knows number one should have been a long time ago. So, anyway, next one is actually still within the system as far as I know. She's just long retired and is actually the head assistant coach, or assistant head coach is the actual title, at the WWE Performance Center. And there's a reason for that, because Sarah Del Rey was arguably the best non-WWE affiliated women's wrestler, or actually non-mainstream, I'm talking, Impact, any of them, in the game for years.
Yeah, period.
This woman, she was every bit the journeyman wrestler of the 80s. She was just in the 90s, early 2000s, and she just happened to be a female. But once they had, I believe it was Shimmer, she was the major part of. Shoot, just take my damn money for all those DVD releases, because she was the shining star on a stacked roster. That entire roster was always great with Shimmer, and Sarah just led the way.
Absolutely. Sarah's one that I don't know a whole lot about on the list here.
Right.
But I do know the name. I do remember hearing the name a lot during what I like to call the PWG era for myself.
Yes, exactly. Agreed.
That 05 to 2010. Like, I would hear her name a lot. I actually believe she did wrestle for Gorilla a bit in the early years before I started to go. I used to own a lot of the old Gorilla DVDs, and I'm not 100%.
Right.
But I would almost bet money she was on that initial show.
Yeah.
That was held at Frankenstein's.
Okay, that's probably I don't remember. I went to very few Frankenstein shows, so
I know the debut show was there. After that, they kind of spawned out a little bit, and I think she wrestled a little bit more. But I'm almost 100% positive she was at least on that show. But that's neither here nor there. She's definitely a name that I heard of, that I saw either YouTube clips, or I remember Dub R, my old buddy Ryan, would get some of the old Shimmer ROH stuff.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I saw her on some of those DVDs.
Definitely on Shimmer and ROH. Yeah, absolutely.
But she's the one that I know the least about, and here I am mumbling about her. So I'm gonna stop now before I sound like an incoherent asshole.
No, you're good. And whether it was, I don't know if it was Matt Bloom, Albert, or Bill DeMott that ultimately, brought her in, but whoever it was deserves at least some sort of, pat on the back, good job. How do you feel about Bill DeMott nowadays? But
give him the Barry Horowitz salute.
That's right. Both of them. What's funny? You say that. I say we give him the Zach Morris Slater salute, because they were on TV much more than Barry Horowitz was. Oh, sorry, Barry. Anyway, love you, Barry.
The minute work golf clap.
Very good. Yes, very good. Yes. Like I said, she's still coaching at WWE PC today. She's the assistant head coach. It's Matt Bloom, and then her, and then everybody else. So
that
that's how
says a
much the
lot.
E thinks of them, her.
Yeah. And Bloom, to that matter. I mean, you think
Yes.
about how horribly Albert, A-Train,
Yes.
Lord Tenzai, the Hip Hop Hippo, all that stupid bullshit got over.
Yep.
The fact that he's the head trainer at the Performance Center, it's like,
Yep.
okay, you didn't connect with the audience, but god damn it, you're good. You're going to work with these kids.
And say, you know your shit, pal, so go for it. The next one is one that JJ at first had to go, I don't remember her. Fill me in a little bit. And I filled him in on what she had done prior to winning championships in Impact Wrestling. He went, oh, okay. And the reason she's on this list is because of the unit that she was originally part of in WWE. She's the only one to have not been a world singles champion, or champion at all for that matter, within WWE. And that's Brooke Adams / Miss Tessmacher / Brooke Tessmacher, but in WWE it was just Brooke. And if you were a WWE ECW fan, like I tried so hard to be,
we all tried so hard to be. Yep.
She was the evolution of Kelly's expose into Extreme Expose, along with our buddy Layla.
Yeah.
And again, Layla became a champion multiple times over. Unfortunately, most of it thanks to Lay Cool, which we've documented on this show in the last 10 years. Not our biggest thrill as fans.
When she loved me.
I swear upon God in heaven, y'all need to watch that episode of DADS, because that's the only place on YouTube that shit still exists. Because the WWE done yanked that shit down. It's like, guess what? We ain't making money off it. We gonna keep airing it until they tell us no more.
Yep.
So, we will put a link for that in the description today too, damn it. Just for the hell of it. But anyway, Kelly, of course, became Divas Champion, much to a lot of our chagrins over Beth Phoenix. It was like, what? So, it's kind of one of those, okay. We'll go with it. We'll see how it goes. And to be fair to Barbie, she actually did a pretty good job as the champion. I'm not going to lie. Layla, of course, was a great wrestler, as it turned out. A really good champion. She was actually the last official holder of the original Fabulous Moolah Evolution Women's Championship. So when you think about that, she's got a place in history.
Yep.
But Brooke really never got there. When her and Layla split off from Kelly and bullied her and, joined up with our buddy Mike Mizanin, and that was what it was, Brooke just kind of coasted, and then they released her. But man, when she went to Impact, she became Knockouts Tag Team Champion with our buddy Lisa Marie there, and Victoria, or Tara then at that point, and she became the Knockouts Champion. So there was talent there. There was potential there. It's just WWE didn't see her as the strongest of the three. And if you look back at accomplishments, if you look back at how all three of them developed in the ring, I would say she's surpassed at least Kelly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Layla, again, Layla and Michelle went on such a tier on their own. Like, it's so hard, even as much as we disliked the act back in the day, it's so hard to knock them off that pedestal because they were so over. That's why that video that we keep referencing that nobody knows what they're talking about is so poignant, because it was such a big deal that they broke up.
Lay Cool in the Women's Divas division at the time that they was the equivalent of Roman Reigns in the Bloodline today. They were on fucking God mode.
Yeah. And they were
There was
unstoppable.
Nothing that could stop them.
Except themselves.
Yep.
That's the thing.
And that's what's going to tear the Bloodline apart is themselves.
I'm waiting for that with Jay.
And then somebody needs to make another video with that goddamn song culminating in the breakup of the Bloodline.
Because if not, we're going to.
But yeah, I mean,
anyway,
the reason I had to ask you who it was, throw that picture up again.
Yes.
At first glance, before you reminded me who it was, I could have swore that was Eve.
Right.
And I'm like, Eve was champion. Who is this?
Yes.
That's why I had to ask, because at first glance, I'm thinking this is Eve Torres.
Right. And
And Eve Torres was a multiple-time champion.
yes, she was.
So that's where the confusion came. You can take it back down now.
Yeah. It was
That's
one
where
of
the
those.
confusion came for me. And then
Right.
you reminded me who she was, and I was like, okay, now I get it. Yeah, they
Yeah.
did have a similar look.
They did. Yes, exactly. Very similar style, very similar attire a lot of times in the ring. More so in the beginning. Eve, when she actually got hot and started being champion, she started wearing like the longer pants. So that's, yeah. And Brooke, of course, showing off the Tessmakers and the assets. So good on her. But yeah, but again, even Brooke, when she went to Impact, she started out as, part of, Eric Bischoff's office staff. Ended up being part of
Miss
Aces and
Hancock.
Eights. Yeah, very much the Miss Hancock role, yeah. Miss Tessmacher, who, if you're a Superman fan, you know the Miss Tessmacher name. And if you don't, watch the first movie, you suckers. Because, damn it, Valerie Bertinelli is awesome as Miss Tessmacher. Great. And matter of fact, I think her first name in the movie is Eve, for what it's worth. So there is that. But once she got away from just being the eye candy, and Impact Wrestling let her be more than that, she showed she could do it. So again, the potential was there. WWE just didn't unlock it.
Yeah.
So very much like this next woman. Okay. This is the one that JJ asked one of these three be put in Candice's spot. So the other two were, for the record,
Karma, better known as Awesome Calm.
Yes.
And Shelly Martinez. Ariel, Selena's in TNA Impact.
Right.
I figured that either those two or the one he's going to throw up had a decent enough run. Granted, Karma's was not that long because of the drama she went through, the pregnancy, etc.
Yes.
But Shelly especially was there long enough that had she not been her own worst enemy, was there longer than the Beautiful People, who got a spot at number 10.
Essentially, right. Yeah. So
could have very easily been a not necessarily women's but divas champion.
Yes. But the lady we chose ultimately, they brought her in with this stupid the whole thing with Brother Paul and what was it just
supposed to be an incest angle.
Yeah, it was gonna be. I mean, God, having gotten to know this woman so long over the last 10 years now, I just go,
yes,
what the shit, WWE? Like, seriously.
Yeah. Katie Lee Winter, was
Katarina. Yeah, it's
our buddy Kat. People,
like, seriously.
One of the people that I loved when she was in the company, and I always thought she got a raw deal.
Very much so. Oh.
And just like Jeff, man, getting to work with her when she was doing her stuff with Wild, doing the interview with her before she went to go fight Tara
Calloway, yeah. Yep.
And
I mean,
having her get in my face,
right?
When I'm interviewing her and trying to act scared without getting slightly aroused, and her getting in my face like she did was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. The video is still up on the Casa channel.
Yes.
Look it up, because I'm standing there, I'm interviewing her regarding her match, and I'm asking her, are you underestimating Tara?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because
she just leans in there to my face and is like, "Are you underestimating me?"
Yeah.
And it's like, "No, ma'am. I definitely am not underestimating you."
Yeah, it's like when you're going in defending the world title, you got some punk interviewer going underestimating the challenger. It's like, yeah, Tara was North American champion. Yeah, so she had that number one contender status. So there's a reason she was challenging Winter, Kat, whatever. But yeah, it was a cool night. I will say that, and it showed that you could have a promotion of one match as part of one show put on this lady's back. And it was a great ride that we took. Yeah. It was our last stand. I'm not going to lie. But it was still a fun last quarter of 2011. It was really a good time.
What a way to go out.
Right? Seriously. Good stuff.
There you go.
The next lady, as of this recording that we know of, can never tell with social media and what is truth and what is fiction these days. But at the end of the day, if nothing else, this lady was the original superstar WWF diva. And as we've documented, watched over this guy in a horrible time of need. Our buddy Tammy, Sunny. And again, Sunny was never hired, designed, conceived, whatever you want to call it, to be a wrestler. No. When she was brought in, the division was, if not dying, it was definitely on life support. And then Medusa done threw the belt in the trash and pulled the plug.
Yeah.
Because Tammy was signed in 95, if I remember right. Maybe even 94. Because they were still developing her character when she was still working for Cornette and Smoky Mountain. So either way, Tammy was under contract at the time that they were at least trying with Alundra as the champion. But by the time she made it to TV, which I think was, you know what? It was during Alundra's reign because the Body Donnas wrestled, they had that program with Horowitz at SummerSlam 95. So, and Alundra was still a champion. She was feuding with, oh God, the Brooke the Fay match. Oh, bad memory. Oh, okay. Breathe. So, yes.
Delete.
The women's division as a wrestling entity was definitely on its way out by the time Tammy became Sunny.
Yes.
But year later, people know, well, it's her team to give a shit.
Oh, yeah. The most downloaded woman in a time when the internet was in its infancy. More than Pamela Anderson.
Yes.
More than Anna Nicole Smith. Yep. More than Cindy Margolis.
Yes.
More than Jenny McCarthy.
She was more downloaded than Pamela at the time that the Pamela tape was already circulating.
Mm-hmm.
Just hold that in your brain for a second, kids.
Think about that.
Yeah, she had more downloads on AOL,
mm-hmm.
which was what it was, than Pamela Anderson during Baywatch, during the sex tape scandal, during all that shit.
Mm-hmm. There's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
And that's considering what Tammy's life has spiraled downwards into.
Right.
You can never take that achievement away.
Nope.
And I mean, if people like Deborah, the Cat, Kelly, Harvey fucking Whippleman could be the women's champion, you're telling me that Sunny couldn't?
And again, as I stated, to be fair, the existence of the championship very much bookended Sunny's time on top. Because figure,
I know,
95, it was being phased out. By the time it was brought back, it was late 98.
And
I'm pretty sure she had already been re-released. So it was a moment in time that was not meant to be. But had, even back in 98, if Tammy's head had stayed on straight and been clear, maybe. And, you know, there's all that talk about her and Marina and Sable, you know, the strife or whatever. Maybe Sunny would have been the women's champion that, you know, feuded with Jacqueline and, you know, really took the championship back into prominence in 98, 99, 2000. Mm-hmm. So we'll never know. But, yeah, if anybody on this list was a star at a time where wrestling was never hotter up until, you know, recently, Sunny's definitely that person.
Absolutely.
All right, the next two are going to make me sad. I'm going to cry. I'm not going to lie. I'm just going to throw it out there now.
Okay.
So the first one, I don't think she actually ever signed with WWE. So let me preface it by saying that. but she was in WCW,
Mhm.
and she did work elsewhere, including in Impact. But here's the real tragedy of her being on the list, besides the fact that she's no longer with us. She wasn't champion in TNA either, which is bullshit. Yes, I'm biased. No, I don't care. How in the name of hell, Jay, did Daphne / Lucy / every other name she had, every other gimmick she had under the Daphne name, not win a championship in WCW other than the Cruiserweight Championship? I grant you that. There was no women's championship to speak of at that time in WCW, so I'm not going to fault. That's one of the things I won't fault Russo on. That it wasn't even there. But not a world champion in any major company.
No.
Like, the only reason she's not higher on the list is because I had the two people you specifically had this idea for, and then I'm number one after that. So, and then there's one more between, who definitely deserves to have been champion and wasn't, which also boggles my mind. Daff, we all know now, had a lot of shit going on. Damn. But the fact that this list is WWE, yes, but she was one of the reasons that I went with this topic when you brought it up. Because, man, this character, as over as I remember her being, when I look back and really be objective, it's like they never really let her get past the she's somebody else's stablemate. Yeah. Like, she was always with Raven, or she was always with David
Crowbar,
or she was always with. She wasn't just Daphne. With Stevie also, and it's just like, okay, that makes sense why it didn't happen. It's still not right.
No.
Because she was so skilled, and at the time that we're talking about, now granted, we found out later how much Shannon was dealing with, stuff that Shannon was dealing with, but especially in TNA, they could have easily made her Knockouts champion. They had that stupid match where the belt was in a box, and Angelina won that match, and I'll never forget that, because the reaction of Angelina holding the belt up in the background is Daphne looking at her like, the fuck? Definitely should have been a world champion somewhere.
Yeah, and a trendsetter, trailblazer, to be sure. I mean, granted, you had people like Luna that came before Daphne, but without Daphne continuing that lineage, there's no Christina Von Eerie, no Buggy Nova, no Rhea Ripley, no Ruby Soho, none of those type of dark gothic characters on a regular on our screens.
Nope. And as far as the Screamers go, yes, Sherry definitely set the trend. Let's not even discount Scary Sherry, but she was women's champion. So, Daff will always be a special place in my heart, but, just, it's unfortunate. You mentioned this next lady, so I'll go ahead and throw her up there now. She was the next on the list anyway. Luna. I mean, again, she was in the WWF feuding with Sable over the championship. And before that, she was feuding with Alundra in the 90s and feuding with, Jackie when they reinstated the title. And she followed Medusa to WCW when it was challenging for the championship then. How was Luna Vachon not a woman's champion? Lineage alone.
Don't know.
It just, and again, we're not trying to purposely anyway harp on the E, but, Luna had the unfortunate problem of coming up in a time where the women's division, whatever they were trying to do with Lundra, just wasn't
clicking.
Well, with Lundra, it wasn't clicking. But when she went back to WWE and was feuding with Rena, again, you hear reports, believe what you want to believe, say what you want to say. But, at the end of the day, if you believe the room in your window, having an attitude problem toward arguably the number 2 star in the company behind Austin, that's career suicide. It just is. So, what should she have been champion? Yes. Did political gaga and her own choices get in the way? Probably. But I think that if anybody on the list besides the two you specifically mentioned and the one we agreed consensus is number one, I think Luna's definitely in that 1A discussion about deserving on this list.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, the women's title, like you said, you had the thing in the mid-90s with Alundra and all that. When the belt came back, and I went to Wiki here while you were talking, just so I had my facts straight.
Yep.
Unfortunately, once it came back, it was the Tits and Ass Championship.
Very much so.
All the way up until Lita beat Stephanie.
Yeah.
Once Lita beat Stephanie for the title is when that belt started to evolve into a serious championship again.
Right.
Because from Lita, you went to, and let me just make sure I have right, you went to Ivory, you went to China, then it got vacated, then it came back with Trish, and you had Trish, Jazz, Molly, Victoria, Gail, etc., etc.
And yes, we realize that Trish's early defenses weren't exactly 5-star Meltzer classics or anything, but
No, but Trish was, it might be a bad comparison, but Trish was the new Sunny.
I agree with that.
She was that new eye candy former fitness model. Definitely was brought in for her tits and ass and sex appeal.
Yes.
To get that teenage demographic to become a downloaded person on the internet, much like Sunny was.
Yep.
But she would not let that be what defined her.
No.
She insisted on evolving herself. If I'm going to be the one holding this belt, I'm going to be the best that I can be.
Yeah.
Which is why Trish Stratus is now looked at as GOAT status.
Yeah.
Trish Stratus, her first couple reigns, the fuck is this tits and ass bitch doing holding the title? Give it back to Lita. Give it to Jazz. Give it to Victoria. Give it to someone who can actually wrestle.
Yep.
Trish Stratus reign 3-4 on.
Yeah.
Best in the world at what she fucking did.
Yep. I was there when she won for the third time, when she regained it from Molly at Unforgiven. And that was the moment, because she was the perfect lady that evolved the division, because like you said, she had the sex appeal of Sunny, and she had the wrestling ability of the Moolahs, the Mays, those ladies. And she didn't at first, but she was able to transition herself, and thank God for people like Fit Finlay.
Absolutely. And I think that's part of why Luna didn't get the belt.
Right.
She was not that sex appeal. She was not the sex appeal of Sable, of Deborah, of Stacy Carter, of Jacqueline.
Yeah. Nor did she want to
be. You throw that picture back up there, and granted, she's an amazing wrestler. I will take nothing away from Luna Vachon. And yes, there's people that are into that kind of goth darkness look that she gives off.
Yes.
But your average male fan is like, ew, get her off of my television.
Especially in 1993 through 1998, which is when she was at her. Or even the 2000.
We'll go through 2000, because it was the year 2000 when Lita won the belt.
She was the anti-diva before that was even a phrase.
Yes.
So, all right. Now we're getting into...
Sadly for Luna, I think that's why she never did. She wasn't someone they could market.
No, at least not on the level of Sable, Sunny, Trish.
Yeah, and WWF at that time was as big of a marketing machine as George Lucas with his Star Wars Enterprise.
Absolutely.
Everything was getting an action figure. Everything was getting a VHS tape, a T-shirt, and that's why she got lumped in with the oddities.
Yep.
You just couldn't market her. You could market the oddities as a whole, but you couldn't market Luna.
These next two ladies are, for lack of a better explanation, the reason that JJ conceptualized the idea, and we ran with it, wanted to bring this list up. Now, neither one of these ladies are going to go into any sort of Hall of Fame as Dan Gable status as the greatest wrestlers of all time, right?
Yeah.
But they were on top of the WWE at a time where the WWE Diva brand was never bigger, I don't think.
And let me also interject and say they were also on top of WCW.
Yes.
At a time where there could have been a women's championship for one of them to hold.
Yes.
Because one of them was one of the hottest heels at the time, being with Shane Douglas.
Oh, yeah.
And the other one was arguably one of the hottest babyface women at the time.
Yeah.
Because her legs went on for miles and miles and miles.
These two ladies were definitely bright glimmers of hope in the giant dark storm cloud that was the end of WCW. And they both debuted during the invasion, which, as we've talked about, was what it was. But they endured, both of them, for longer than, honestly, I think people expected.
Yeah. And one of them went on to actually have some decent matches. We won't call them Meltzer 5-star classics.
No.
But more so than the other one.
So
actually competed and challenged and had matches trying to go for the championship.
Yes.
But for whatever reason, they never pulled the trigger on either of these women. And again, I mentioned earlier, names like Deborah, Stacy Carter, Kelly, Harvey fucking Whippleman.
We love you, Bruno. We really do.
No shit. Like I aside from this, I will never give Harvey crap.
No,
aside from ever being the women's champion and then coming out the next night looking like the Wish version of the Sandman, holding the title up in the air.
Right? Like, damn, Harvey, at least try.
But the fact that he was the women's champion and neither of these two women is Tori Wilson.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not even the biggest Tori Wilson fan. I never was.
Right.
You know, my first exposure to Tori in a professional life sense was the WCW Thunder I attended, where she came out with Shane Douglas and ran Long Beach to shit.
Right?
And this was at a time when I was still new to the business.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this bitch talking shit about my city? Fuck you. And I never liked her since. Like, for real.
Man.
It was real to me, damn it.
That's right. I'll tell you what. When you think about Tori...
I met her after that. She's a sweet lady.
She's
I did eventually forgive her, but the entire time she was in the ring, I never liked her after that promo.
Yeah. It's always so funny to me when you think about how often we've met her. Hell, the kids have met her. Like, seriously. At least mine did. I don't know if Natalie did or not, but mine definitely did. But yeah, she was... And again... By the time the invasion petered out like a fart in church, let's not kid ourselves, the Women's Championship was back. So, and she was involved. She was in the company for a lot longer than people remember, and she was the only member of the group that became known as Vince's Devils that was not champion ever. And you think that Candice, and again, we both love Candice, we both met Candice, wonderful. Ended up being pretty damn good in the ring, considering where we all... Oh, God, really? She was a good champion. But the fact that Tori wasn't ever champion in WWE, she was the first Playboy cover girl for WWE after the China thing petered out and WWE didn't have a cover model for a couple years. She was such a popular entity, she was on the cover of Playboy under WWE contract twice. Once by herself and once with Sable. So, and again, she had the feud with Sable. Now, granted, when Sable came back, she wasn't contending for the championship because that was a whole other storyline, but she swore she'd never do. I'm never going to expose my breasts on TV. I'm never going to be Vince's mistress. Anyway, money talks. Bullshit walks.
Kind of like Brett saying he'd never make a story out of the screw job.
Yeah.
Right, Brett? Right?
Brett? Yeah.
As
Best
I'm
there
sitting here
is.
wearing a Hart family shirt, but I digress.
That's right. But that's because we love Natty and she don't bullshit.
But she's been champion, but it's the only female shirt I had.
Yeah. I got Trish, and I'm like, yeah, this is not the topic at all, because she's been champion more than any damn buddy, except Charlotte. Fucking hell. Anyway, I have a Charlotte shirt somewhere in this damn house. Lord knows if I can find it right now. Tori Wilson never being champion, still to this day, regardless of what we think of her act or her in-ring skills, you just go, this bitch was on Playboy.
Yeah.
So was Christy, never champion. So was Ashley, never champion. Both definitely honorable mentions.
Ashley wasn't around long enough, I don't think, to really get the traction. Christy was.
Ashley was in a championship match at WrestleMania, so let's not even front.
But that doesn't mean she was around long enough to really get traction. She had won Diva Search like however many months prior, and it was like Money in the Bank. You won Diva Search, you're getting the title shot at Mania.
Yeah, and yes,
after that she was managing London and Kendrick.
Yeah, both matches Christy and Ashley had at WrestleMania for the championship were, again, they bookended the Mickie James Trish match. That's just a hard road to hoe, okay, for real. Like, you gotta either try to beat that or follow it. Yeah, no, not gonna happen. It took years for that match to be surpassed. Yeah. But Tori, when you think of Tori's big moments in WWE, you don't think of the championship matches, and that's by design. But at the same time, both her and her longtime tag team partner, longtime friend, the woman who inducted her into the Hall of Fame, Stacy Keibler, not having been champion just is mind-boggling. And when you think about the fact that I was trying real hard to decide what picture to use for Stacy, and I really thought hard about using the picture of her with the Dudleys, because at least she's wearing championship gold in that picture.
Absolutely.
Just to make sure we stay censored, but, you know.
And like, that would have been a perfect opportunity for her to get the belt. The Duchess of Dudleyville, along with the Dudleys. It very much could have been the next evolution of Team Extreme when you had the Hardys and Lita with the belts.
It even could have been when Rosie and Hurricane were tag team champions. Super Stacy.
Yeah. I mean, you figure she should have gotten gold alone for coming up with and having to say testicles on show every week.
At least a gold medal, freaking Kurt Angle style. Like, here, we're sorry. Like, Jesus.
She should have gotten a title reign for having to deal with Scotty Steiner and his math problems every week.
She'll try to get twist on the road.
I would say, how the hell she keep finding her way back to Test, but she dated the man for a while, so you know that's how she kept finding her way back to Test.
Yeah, that's it. Both of these ladies,
which may Andrew Martin rest in peace. Not trying to make light of him.
Yeah, for real. Another guy that, yes, was Intercontinental, yes, was in that picture, but man, again, head stays on straight, things go better. Easily could have been at least a short-term world champion, but we digress. Not that topic today.
Yeah,
maybe later. But these two women were at the apex of WWE when their Divas division was really just hitting on all cylinders.
Dare I say, the hottest members of the Alliance, both figuratively and crowd reaction-wise, that were not named Rob Van Dam.
Oh, I agree. Without a doubt. The fact that they were in a featured match against each other at No Mercy, the first ever lingerie match, the fact that they were semi-main in Invasion in the Bra and Panties tag match with Trish and Lita.
And you figure they hot-shotted RVD to get an IC title, a hardcore title on him, like 2 days after he came out to the company.
Right. But even after that, Stacy challenged Trish more than once as champion.
Yeah.
Including on the debut episode of Velocity, including on pay-per-view at Judgment Day with the Dudleys in opposite corners. Reverend Devon backing Stacy at the behest of his benefactor, Mr. McMahon, and Bubba Ray backing up his girl Trish. There's so much there that they just didn't take a step with both of them. It's like, okay. Anyway, I digress. Buy the t-shirt. For the love of God, give us the freaking money.
God's our money.
Come back in 2 weeks. This next lady, and I say lady with all the seriousness, because this lady was a lady through and through, except for the time she was given birth on television. Is she wrong for that? To a hand.
And if you don't know who we're talking about just by that description,
poor Jerry Briscoe.
Then you're too young for this channel, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Jerry Briscoe has never been the same to this day for that segment alone. Poor Jerry. God bless him.
I mean, you figure, and I specifically told Jeff, I'm like, out of everybody on this list, this lady needs to be number one.
Yeah.
You figure, as long as she was in the business.
Yes.
As many times as she was around the WWE.
Yep.
The fact that she was willing to wrestle well into her 90s and was going to wrestle for her 100th birthday if she had lived that long.
Yep.
The punishment she allowed herself to be put through.
Yes.
Granted, everybody that picked her up took special care with her so as to not kill her in the reign at her age.
Right?
But she took a power bomb off the entrance ramp through a table from Bubba Dudley.
Yeah.
Then you figure the public embarrassment and humiliation that she would always put herself through. Coming off as the drunk best friend to Moolah. Yeah. Dating sexual chocolate, being found in the bed with him, giving birth to a hand. Backstage at WrestleMania with Mean Gene and Bobby Heenan in the closet with him and Moolah. Like, she was not above the business.
No,
she was always willing to do what was best for the business, and not once did she get even like a Lifetime Achievement Award run with it. She could have had it from Raw to Raw and lost it back, but never, ever, ever did Mae Young hold the women's title.
When you think about the way that Moolah's ultimate reputation has been laid out in history in the last couple years,
thanks to Dark Side of the Ring.
Right. Well, the rumors were always there about Lillian. Let's not even gloss over that shit. But man, yeah, you mentioned all the moments she had. Different. I mean, God, that entire walk through the hall with Booker and Sharmell, that whole segment was just. You talked about the rare oddities of Luna earlier. Good Lord, that was a whole other thing. And just rather than give her the Lifetime Achievement like we talked about, even when her and Moolah came back in '99, I think it was. And they had that run with Ivory where Moolah became champion again. It's like, how do you not, from that point forward until she passed away, like you said, a week, hell, even a pay-per-view and lose the next night on Raw. Something. Mae Young, granted, she was the very first, to my knowledge, United States Women's Champion. That's on the NWA side, I believe. Again, it's going back before even our times, we be old fucks. And again, the show idea was conceptualized around Stacey and Tori because we were in our formative years as fans during their time in the WWE. So they were always on our mind. But man, when I looked to make sure, when I reformatted the show and said, okay, only WWE, but then I looked, Mae Young was never in any NWA, AWA, any of them, never the singles world women's champion.
And that's
and again, I grant, she was Moolah's best friend. You're not going to beat Moolah for the championship in that era. It's just not going to be a thing. But it's still shitty.
Yeah. It's like the stories that freaking Dusty would talk about being in the bar and he's there with his entourage, and the Saturday Night Live crew and Belushi and everything.
Yep.
And then in walks the Horseman.
Yep.
That's forever Mae Young. She's there. She's Moolah's best friend. She's along for that ride. But then here comes Moolah.
Yep. And again, whatever we've heard, been revealed later in years, whatever, she was loyal to Moolah, to
Absolutely.
her own damn fault.
And that's something that you can never take away because loyalty is in short supply these days.
Especially in wrestling,
Yeah.
especially from the people in that era.
Big time.
It was cutthroat. It was kill or be killed, especially on the women's side of things. You figure how long the women had to fight, and granted, there was a lot of shady shenanigans that we found out later, but the women weren't even allowed to wrestle in the garden until Moolah went, nope. I'll do what I want to do. I'm the fabulous Moolah. You tell me otherwise, you'll see what happens. And yes, a lot of shit underneath, but at the end of the day, Moolah and by proxy May and everybody that came after them definitely blazed that trail, and for her to have not been the world champion at any point is a shame. And I think that is a big reason why WWE started the Mae Young Classic. Is because she was such a contributing factor to the impact, the initial evolution of women in wrestling, period, that she has to be recognized.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned, a couple weeks ago about, China. We were talking about China and getting the Battle Royal named after her because Moolah got taken away. Mae Young is easily right there. It could be that a candidate for the naming of the Battle Royal too. So they're both, And China's on this list because she was women's champion. Yes, it was what it was with her reign, but
absolutely. So, what do you guys think of our list? Collaborative as it is. We've only gone about an hour, Meech. That's good for us. It's about what I figured with the collaborative list.
Yes.
What did you guys think? Did we leave anybody out? Without naming people that are still like really, really active. Like,
yes.
I mean, because there's always the possibility that someone could come over or return.
Yes.
Like I said, as far as Candice LeRae, she just came back with the company.
Yes.
She very easily could become women's champion at some point.
Yes.
Did we forget anybody out? Is there anybody you would have repositioned?
Yeah.
And let us know. If you're watching the premiere, leave your thoughts and comments over here next to me. If you're watching on demand later in the day, leave your thoughts and comments down where? Down there.
That's right. And again, other than, I'll say the top 3 spots, very fluid where they can be.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would argue us on May, Stacy, Tori.
Yeah.
For the top 3. Again, especially when you consider the eras that Tori and Stacy were around in.
Yes.
And the fact that it became a marketing machine.
Right, exactly.
So
yeah, and again, I can even say Stacy and Tori, they can be in either 2 or 3, and I'll even say that everybody on the list is definitely on the list for a reason, and also, like as you mentioned, Shelly and Kong, both of them definitely deserve the honorable mention. But I can't even have any. Like, if anybody wants to argue me, Mae Young, I will gladly go on a debate video with them, and please tell me why.
Absolutely, as will I.
Yeah,
we can make it a part of open mic night on a week that Jeff is actually free.
Exactly. Well, now the mouse is taking over. As far as this last weekend, now that he's taken over, we'll see how it goes. But as I progress further into my Disney career, you, my friend, have already started a stacked, jam-packed month of horror classics, of Renegades reviews, currents, and just all the things, man. What do you got coming up just this week alone?
Well, just this week alone, prior to us coming on the air here, if you didn't catch it, go back and catch my review for Addams Family Values.
Yeah.
Raul Julia, Angelica Houston, Christopher Lloyd, Christina Ricci. And I was saying to the house when we went back and we rewatched these, like, Uncle Fester was the star of the TV show. Wednesday was the star of the movies.
Yeah. Yep, I agree with that.
Wednesday really came into her own in the movies and became this iconic character more so than she was in the TV show.
which is why they've launched the series on Netflix. And
Absolutely.
I will say this: in the movies, the villains are just stellar.
Yeah.
Especially this one, because Joan Cusack's so good anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I sat there watching her, and I'm like, "Damn, Jesse, why you gotta be so evil?"
She was
'Cause
abandoned. She's
that's what I always go back to for Joan Cusack is Jessie the yodeling
yes.
cowgirl, and then
Yes.
I think of It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas Movie, where she's pretty much the exact same evil, sarcastic character as she is in this,
Yeah.
as Rachel Bitterman, the bank owner.
Yes. She is a great villain, but she doesn't have to get evil. She's just like sarcastic and twisted, and she's so damn funny that it works.
And then tomorrow I begin my Scream franchise. I'm going through the entire series, Scream 1, 2, Scream 3 on Thursday, as well as my weekly review of She-Hulk, Scream 4 on Friday, Scream 5 on Saturday. Saturday is supposed to be De-Influencer for new release Saturday. However, I have not seen it hit theaters or streaming yet. It was supposed to come out on the 1st. So I may have to scrap that in favor of something else.
Okay.
Title TBD. If I'm able to get to see it and it comes out, it'll still be De-Influencer. If I can't, it'll be title TBD.
Yes.
So
and again, we're recording this a week in advance, so we'll see how things play out.
Exactly. You're just going to have to stay tuned for that.
Yes.
And then Sunday the 16th, the War Zone weekly acquisition report. And then I'm going to begin my 2 days of Hocus Pocus, bringing us all the way back to next Monday, Hocus Pocus and Hocus Pocus 2.
Good stuff.
Man, I watched the sequel to Hocus Pocus 2 the other day, and I was like, you know what? I was kind of in the camp of like, this didn't really need to be made, but I liked it.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
I liked it. I liked it for the prologue back in 1653 and kind of seeing the Sandersons as kids and what kind of pushed Winifred to where she became. Yeah, it makes her a little bit more sympathetic, and I don't really like sympathetic villains.
The Grinch narrative, yes.
But you figure 3 sisters living in the woods, that there had to be something to push them. They weren't just going to be born that way.
Of course.
So what sent them down that path of darkness, and finally getting to see that, I enjoyed that.
That was cool.
And then the movie progressing and the eventual ending, which I'm not going to spoil for those of you that want to see it, but
yes,
if you're a fan of the original, I think you'll enjoy it, even though my daughter did not.
Really?
She thought it made Winifred look weak.
Oh man!
And I can understand that from a teenage perspective, but
Yeah. I will say this. You and I have done Disney visits for a long time in our friendship, and even before.
Yes.
When I brought the kiddo on last Monday, and when I went myself the previous Saturday, I have never seen more merchandise for that franchise than I had in those 2 days. And I get it. The company machine is behind it, and I understand. But there were a lot more cosplay outfit style or self-made tees than there were stuff you could buy on the shelves.
Mm-hmm.
So this franchise definitely has that fan base, and it's good to see. And again, I'm not trying to praise the company ass too much here, but it's good to see the company finally going, okay, you know what, these fans deserve that next step.
Yeah, it's definitely developed a cult following since 1993.
You figure almost 30 years, dude.
Yeah, where it started off as the throwaway movie that nobody cared about, and over time, much like Rocky Horror Picture Show, it just developed that following through VHS, through midnight screenings, through re-releases and the El Capitan and all that kind of stuff,
Yep.
free form showing it 500 times over the course of the 31 days of October,
including 65 today alone.
Because they don't own any other movies that they could show, so we have
No.
to show this.
No, that's like a Sci-Fi in USA showing Bride of Chucky 65 times and showing the original once. Like,
yeah.
Ah! but it's funny. Hocus Pocus had the unfortunate issue of being released the same year as Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
And even though Disney didn't fully embrace the Jack Skellington love until much later because they saw that money train, it's still the same umbrella. Mm-hmm. So, and Nightmare got a lot more press than Hocus Pocus did, right or wrong. And
well, you figure Nightmare was stop motion animation, which was a lost art. So
yes.
The fact that they had gone back to that and made a movie that was so good is why it got the publicity. And this is why there's Renegade's reviews and I talk movies, because this is the shit that I know about.
Yes, exactly. Which is why you got to tune in every week on the channel.
So, even though I'm not doing Nightmare this year, I'll get to it.
We'll get there. And again, it's. But I'm glad Hocus Pocus 2 is a thing. I'm glad that the trio got their next movie. They got their story. So it's very cool. Check it out. The reviews. Check everything you see on the Renegade channel this week. I'll go and throw that calendar graphic back up because I made that shit and I'm proud of that thing. Damn it.
Right.
Everything except the third Freddy movie, Curse of Michael Myers, which you can get on Vudu for very inexpensive. The producer's cut, by the way, we're watching that one, and Halloween 2018. At least as of this recording, are all on some sort of streaming platform or another that most of y'all are subscribed to anyway. Hell, even some are on YouTube, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, so, seriously.
Ain't no excuse.
No, none.
And if they're not on streaming yet, they're in theaters now. Go drop the money. I'll be a prat. For real. Money. The movie making, the movie going art fandom is dying, and we need to resolve that shit.
Absolutely. And then Munsters and Curse of Bridge Hollow are both Netflix original movies for new release Saturday.
Yes.
So there's no excuse that you can't watch those before checking out my reviews.
And if you're crazy like us and have to have the hard copies, Munsters dropped the same day on hard copies as it did on Netflix. No excuse.
Exactly.
Zero. But we digress. Come back here in 2 weeks' time after you've consumed all the Casa things, because tons of horror stuff coming up on the Casa Studios Renegades Reviews platform, plus Tapway Sports Bar tomorrow, as we do every Tuesday on the Casa, plus everything I'm doing, which at this recording, I don't know what the hell I'm doing this month. So, for real, like as of this recording, we're recording this the 3rd. So this weekend is my first, pardon the phrase for company, balls deep into the training. So I got no idea what's to come after Sunday. But
plus Halloween Havoc coverage that'll be coming up on the 22nd.
You guys are doing that. Okay, cool. I wasn't sure if that was going to be a thing.
If I have to do it on my own, I'm doing it, goddammit, because it may be not Noah's NXT, damn it.
Sure, coming soon.
But I enjoy it.
That's right.
Especially that main event between McDonough, Breaker, and Dragunov.
Right.
I'm curious for that. And the ladder match for the North American title. As of filming, those are the only 2 matches announced. I'm sure more will be announced.
Oh, I'm sure.
As we go. But like those 2 matches alone have me sold.
So yes. After Halloween Havoc, I'm pretty sure it's the Monday after, we'll be in 2 weeks' time on the 24th. We will be back right here on the Casa DT Studios and the Jeff Meacham Network with our next episode of the Dads, Not Always on Wrestling. And as JJ is featuring all the classic horror things, and a lot of them are sequels, we tied the theme in, as we do. We are looking at the top 10 horror sequels. Now, no, it doesn't only have to be movie number 2.
Absolutely not. I've got movie number 2. I've got movie number 3. I've got movie number 4. I've got movie number 7. I've got a bunch of different entries, but as long as it is a sequel to the original entry, because you figure Freddy went for like 8 movies, including Freddy versus Jason, not counting the reboot.
Right.
Jason went for 11 movies. Michael's on about 342 right at this point when you factor in fan films and everything else.
Including including this week.
Yeah. And including the Rob Zombie, which will not be on my list whatsoever.
Despite your tweet of its praise earlier in your life. But anyway, I digress. I'm going to find that shit.
But anything that is considered a sequel to the original is acceptable. So,
which is why
it's going to be fun to see what shows up on the lists.
Yeah, that will be a non-collaborative. That'll be two tens.
Two separate lists.
And I will say, even though it's in the lineage and line, Season of the Witch is not a sequel to the Myers story, which is why it won't be on at least my list. So.
It's not on mine. I still consider it a sequel because it is third in the franchise, even though it has nothing to do with Michael. Mike only makes a cameo on the TV screen.
In a commercial.
But it is the third in the series, so it is technically a sequel.
It's one of those meta moments. Like,
it is.
They're freaking advertising the damn movie on the television screen when the people are freaking out. Like, the hell's going on? But anyway, that's in 2 weeks. In 4 weeks, we'll be back for November, and we will make it in November to remember right off the bat because JJ and I decided to talk about the top 10 matches over the, I think it's 6-year, maybe 7-year history of the ECW's version of WrestleMania, November to remember.
From 93 to 2000.
I should get 93. Because
93 is not on the network, yeah.
Right.
From 94 to 2000 is on the network. So if you guys at home want to go back, relive those shows so that you can have your opinions as well, go for it. Unfortunately, nothing from 93 will make our lists because there's no way to rewatch them. Even YouTube doesn't have it. Right. I haven't tried Daily Motion yet. I will try that eventually once I'm done with everything on the network. But if it's not on Daily Motion either, then it'll just be 94 to 2000.
Part of your imaginations. Figure it out. And then at the end of November, we are going to also have a episode, the top 10 charity singles. Now, that will be our next collaborative effort.
Which will be mainly spearheaded by me.
Yeah, because Uncle Jeff's not the music guy.
No.
So, now, I am familiar with everything we have. I'm not going to, try to bullshit. But I can speak my 2 cents. JJ can speak his $20 because he knows the music stuff. So that'll be, and then in December, we'll get to December when we get there because that's going to be mouse heavy and I got trying to get too work focused. But
every Monday in December is going to be an episode of DADS. That is our Christmas gift to you. Or your Hanukkah gift or your Kwanzaa gift, depending on what you celebrate. And hey, if you don't believe and you don't celebrate anything, that's fine too.
We are the gift that keeps on giving, whatever you celebrate.
That's right. So, that all being said, now that we got the shills and plugs out of the way and we went an extra almost 20 minutes, for the West Coast Professor Jeff Meacham, I am the Renegade JJ Williams. Thank you for tuning in to our top 10 women to never hold a WWE Singles Championship. And until we see you in 2 weeks, catch you later.